I usually, like I said, explode instantly at the green flag, and people tell me a lot that I'm like a tiger, and they're surprised that somebody so mellow-mannered is so aggressive.
The motivation came from a magazine ad, actually, for the new bike that Buell was doing, and it was their new 1125 bike, and it was a water-cooled engine, and they had a picture in the magazine of the bike stripped down to just the frame and the engine and the wheels. And my business partner Richard and I were looking at it, going, "Wow, that's a beautiful set of bones on a bike. Can't wait to see how the finished product comes out." And then when it did, we were, I would say, a little let down, and kind of joked and said, "Gosh, you know, we could have done so much more with that." We bought 2 bikes and we built 1 prototype, and we used the one bike to build our molds and our forms and our studies, and kind of made a mess of it. And then the other bike became what was the first prototype. The story of the 47 Ronin seemed to relate pretty well to kind of the story of the bike, and the fact that the bike was this sort of a warrior, and because Harley had closed the Buell doors, you now had these warriors, these motorcycles on the streets without a master. The whole reason that the story of the 47 Ronin is told to this day really is more about how you live your life, how you conduct yourself in society, the standards you hold yourself to, in a way of living your life. Of course, as soon as the bike got that name associated with it, I think the next day Rich came in and said, "You know, we have to make 47 now."
We spoke with one of the heads at BMW last year at the One Show, and he asked us how many we had built, and kind of went through the story, and he said, "Well, how many?" We told him it had been 3 years and we had most of the bikes built already, and he asked how big our team was, and so there's 5 of us, and he said, "Oh, you mean five designers and engineers?" I'm like, "No, there's 5 of us," and he couldn't believe it.
While we had never set out to race the bike, we had set out to build a bike that was as much fun to ride as it was to look at, and when the opportunity came to race the bike, it took us, I think, all of 5 or 10 seconds to go, "Yeah, let's do that." The Pikes Peak bike in particular is painted after an old television series called Maspeda, which was a Transformer-like cartoon, and the guy had a backpack that was a motorcycle called a Cyclone, and it would come off his back and transform underneath him as he flew through the air, and he would mount this motorcycle and ride off. That's pretty cool. A magazine editor that was a big fan of ours from England, and was also friends with Travis Newbold, and one day when was doing an article on our bike and said, "Hey, you guys ought to race Pikes Peak. It's right down the street from you." And we said, "Well, we don't have a rider." And he's like, "Well, I know a guy that would love to do it," and made the introduction, and that was it.
It's just kind of one of those childhood things growing up and always riding BMX bikes, and just kind of being a bit of a daredevil. And my mom saw that, and I think I was about 10 years old when my mom bought me a clapped out old dirt bike from the classified ads. I was a really slow kid. I was a solid C-class racer pretty much all the way through until I was my mid-20s, and I worked my way up through the ranks and actually got up to the expert level off-road racing, and from there I kind of started to race Baja some. From there I didn't really know what to do, so I thought about racing the Pikes Peak hill climb. It looks odd, but it's actually a very well-performing motorcycle. The Ronin guys did all their homework, and geometry is perfect with it. It's set up to perform. I was a little nervous this time of the year last year when I was thinking, boy, I'm going to be on a 150, 60 horsepower, beast. This is a lot I've bitten off here. I hope I know what I'm doing.
If you're making a product that you want people to actually be able to use, let alone be able to use safely like a motorcycle, which is already high mechanism of injury product, you have to have engineering in mind when you're designing a product, because if you just make something look pretty and you don't worry about wall thicknesses or what kind of material you're going to make it out of, you could kill somebody.
I learned real quick what the traction limit of the rear tire was. I'd never had it almost spit me off, and all the practice I'd done and every early practice morning, I'd never had the bike try and spit me off like that. That spooked me a little bit and got my nerves flowing and my adrenaline was heightened. And from that point on, I was really just trying to focus on making a flawless run out of it. It's kind of a balance, because if you try too hard, you're gonna crash. You're gonna push yourself to the point of failure. You want to give it your best, but in order to really nail everything perfectly, you have to just kind of relax and let the chi of it just flow through you, and let the course come to you, and just react as things happen.
There's a lot to be lost and just a little bit to be gained, and it's that little bit to be gained that I guess makes everything else worthwhile.
It's something about racing on asphalt is very unforgiving, whereas dirt, you've got a cushion to kind of slide on, and you can take it out to the edge of the road or even beyond the edge of the road, and it's okay. But once you leave that edge of the asphalt, things get really scary really quick. That corner just started to tighten up at the end of the corner, and I knew that there was a possibility if I tried to keep it on the pavement, I would lose traction again. So I decided to just straighten the bike up and ride it through that ditch. I know I'd done it before. A lot of times when you're moving at a pace that quick, your actions are, you're reacting before you can even think or process it. And I guess that's something that I've learned as a racer. Some of the skills that I've acquired is to just put trust in yourself, and so you know that you can't possibly mess up. You have to be exact and precise, and when I'm in that zone, I'm not worried about anything. I'm not stressed out at all. It's actually the opposite. It's kind of a weird place to find your body, where you're performing at levels that most people, I don't think, experience very often, and it just comes natural and feels good to flow with it. And it's really raw and pure to go out and battle on a motorcycle where you know you might get killed, and it's something that is pretty rare and precious these days.
You know, the whole project is kind of this little moment in time, right? It's not going to go on. It won't be repeated. So it will live on as kind of this thing that happened. And it really is a giant art project.